I know we got a formidable opponent, obviously a very familiar opponent as well. In Seton Hall, we just played them a couple weeks ago. So, and they kicked our butt. So, our guys know how they play, what their identity is. I thought we got bullied around the rim in all facets, whether that was them blocking shots, whether that was them on the offensive glass, post-ups, drives. We got to be a lot tougher and embrace that physicality. And we have to be able to set that tone early on the glass to give ourselves a chance. Seton Hall is one of the biggest teams in the entire country. Ike Obagu, Sandro, they bring in Tyrese Samuels that are all bigger, all 6'10" or bigger. Their wings are very big as well, and Jared Roden and Miles Kale and Molson. So, we know kind of what it's going to take to win the game and what we need to do. We just got to be able to execute it out on the floor, but it should be a heck of a game on Saturday afternoon.
Coach, does the way that you lost to Seton Hall, does that add a little bit more motivation for your guys in this game?
I don't know if it adds more motivation. They did. They kicked our butts, and we got to be a heck of a lot better, more physical. The game was even, other than the last 5 minutes of the first half, which is kind of weird. But I didn't like how we played even at the very beginning of the game. Right, and because we made a huge point of we had to be able to defend, defensive rebound, limit them to one shot, first possession of the game. I think it was Nate Johnson missed a block out, and the next possession Zach missed a block out, and just I told those guys those Seton Hall smelled blood on the glass, and they just took advantage of us on that end, and we got to be a heck of a lot better here moving forward. Which again, I think we've become a better defensive rebounding team since that game. It was a good lesson for us to learn. Because then if you're going to have any success in this league, man, you better embrace physicality.
Next question from Tim.
Hey, Travis. So this next game you guys play will be Game 13. We obviously know that's the NCAA's minimum for the tournament this year. You guys obviously front-loaded a ton of your non-conference games. So is this game, if it is played, is that a big sigh of relief for you guys, even though there is still a lot of work to be done?
Absolutely. Obviously it makes you eligible for the NCAA tournament, Tim, just like you said. I think they would obviously prefer. We want to get as many games as we can. Hopefully we can get all 27 in, right? That's the hope, to get 20 Big East games in. And I know our conference and our offices, they're working hard to make sure that, when you lose a game or a game gets postponed or canceled, we're going to try to figure it out, the schedule, and moving forward. We're going to try to get all 20 league games in. At least that's the plan as of right now.
Adam?
Travis, you elected not to play Keke Coutee against Providence. I was curious why that decision, and will he have a chance to work his way back into the rotation?
Again, I've just been playing the guys, Adam, that earn it in practice. I always go back to productivity and trust. And, those other guys were playing pretty well. There's nothing that Keke's doing necessarily wrong. Keke's a good player, and he can really impact our team, and I believe in him. He's got to do it, though. I can't do it for him. He's got to show me that I have to play him. And, but again, I do think he can change our team, and I hope he does, because I think he would add a ton to our team. He's been out. He didn't practice today, Adam, with an injury. So, again, I don't know if he will be able to play on Saturday against Seton Hall or not. So that's kind of to be determined.
Next question, Jeremy.
Travis, this season obviously is a unique one, as Tim kind of already asked you a question about that and just getting to a certain number of games. But a week like this where you may have had a game against Villanova, you didn't have it. You still had to have this many days off before you play your next game. Do you feel like your guys are getting into a rhythm, or is it still kind of working its way there? How do you feel like your guys are adjusting to that?
Jeremy, it is kind of what it is, but it's out of our control, right? And but it's hard to get in a rhythm. Usually in a typical year, a normal year, you play 2 games, every week for the most part. You get a bye here. I think 1 or 2 byes during the conference season, to where you'd only play 1 conference game that during that specific week. But it's hard, man, because you play a game and then you're off for 8 days or 9 days, and you don't know if that next game's going to be canceled or not or postponed. It's hard, but again, I keep on reminding our guys, you got to focus on what we can control, and we cannot control that. Our schedule. We've been fortunate to get 12 games in that we've gotten to this point, and hopefully we'll be able to get all 20 Big East games in by the end of the year.
Next question, Tim.
Going into a game like this, like you mentioned, the size that they have, obviously I know you're with Deontay and Daniel Ramsey kind of working back into shape and game shape. Is this a slot where you maybe think about using them just to match size, or is this kind of go with what you have and what's working so far?
Yeah, Deontay still has not practiced yet, Tim. So hopefully he'll be back. The plan's hopefully him to be back maybe next week. Got to work him kind of back into it a little bit, and Daniel's kind of working himself back into it as well. But we're going to play the guys that have earned it and guys that in practice, and so whether that's guys are small, big, I really don't care. We got to use our advantage, right? Which if we do play small, we got to use our quickness. We have to be able to use our shooting and our spacing on the floor to our advantage. And if we do that, then I think we could be really hard to guard, right, on the other end, because they have to guard us. So I think that'll be kind of the key to the game is who can take advantage of their advantage, right, and on the offensive and defensive ends.
Next question, Nate.
Travis, you talked about the spacing of this team. You guys lead the league in assists at 19 a game. The decision-making and the IQ is really good for this team. Stylistically, how does that impact your coaching of the offense?
I trust our guys. We play in a lot of what I call flow, Nate, which is not necessarily always set plays, right? We try to teach those guys how to play. We give them concepts, and we just tell those guys to make the right plays. And as long as our ball's moving, we get good player movement, good ball movement, combined with our spacing and concepts, we're going to get pretty good shots. And whether a team's switching, whether a team's hard hedging the ball screen or icing, it doesn't really matter. Our guys have solutions to all those coverages, and they know what we're supposed to do. Kind of our automatics is kind of what we call them in our pick and roll play. And I think our guys have enjoyed playing that way. It kind of allows them to be able to play with some freedom. And again, our guys have done a great job on that end of sharing the basketball.
Jeremy.
Travis, with how physical Seton Hall plays, like you talked about, and how much they dominated in a lot of ways the last time you played them, I know your team is 10-2. I know you've won a lot of games, but can this be sort of a measuring stick kind of game for your team? Because I know you challenged them to match their physicality. You have to do that to be good in this league.
I agree, Jeremy. I mean, I got a lot of respect for Seton Hall. I think Seton Hall is a terrific team. They're old, they're big, they're physical, they're well coached. And we're going to have our hands full, but this is, to me, again, if we're going to have success in this league, you have to be able to man up on the glass. You have to. And then you have to embrace the physicality on the other end, too. A lot of people will think of physicality, they think of rebounding and defense. Well, that's offense as well. You can't get knocked off your spot. You can't allow their ball pressure to make us play out at 30 feet. We got to play where we want to play. And in game one, they dictated the game with their physicality. And I think we've gotten better since then with embracing that physicality that you need in the Big East. But again, it's going to be put to the test. I can tell you, we're going to be put to the test tomorrow or on Saturday against Seton Hall.
Adam.
Travis, these last few games, it seems to me from watching, it looks like Paul might be not attacking as much as we're used to. We're so used to seeing him get into the lane and sort of break down defenses that way. Has he gotten away from that a little bit? Is that something that you've noticed?
Yes and no, Adam. I think, obviously, Paul's going to be at the top of the scouting report for every team, right? And as he should be. He's an all-conference guard. And it's like I told him, man, you just got to continue to do what the game tells you to do. Can't force things. Even though, you may say, hey, I only have one shot or two shots. I could really care less about shot attempts. I care more about, hey, are you getting to where we want you to get, to the paint? Are you dropping the ball off to our bigs? Are you kicking it out to our shooters? Guys don't help, then let's score the ball. like continuing to, keep the ball moving, keep the ball hot, and then just do what the game tells you to do. Because I felt like in the second half against Seton Hall, I thought he'd forced a little bit and reverted a little bit back to, I call it old Paul, from previous years. I forced some shots, forced the action, and offense can't be that way. You want to be aggressive, but you want to do what the game tells you to do. Offense is meant to be easy. And again, I think against St. John's, he wasn't probably overly aggressive. He was a little bit in the second half. And then against Providence, he kind of picked his spots as well. But again, I think the advantage that we have with our team this year, the go-to guy is going to be the open guy. I think we have a lot of guys that are capable of scoring, and Paul understands that. And that every game's going to call probably for a different game from him. But he does have to be aggressive getting to the paint.
Coach subbing in for George Vogel is having a mic problem. He wanted to know about the challenge of this year, the logistics of travel, and even the challenge of playing in front of little or no fans on the road.
Yeah, it's a good question by George. I think, for us, we use the slogan anytime, anywhere. I don't care how many fans are in the building. We got to create our own energy. Our bench has to be into it. We have to be a connected group. I think that's really, really, really important this year. As far as travel goes, if it's different. The room we're going to eat in is going to be absolutely enormous. You're not allowed to eat with other people at the same table. That's kind of bizarre. There's no more buffet lines like they used to have when we go on the road. It's different for sure. But again, it is what it is. We won't let that affect our performance because it's out of our control. Mario Mercurio, I know it's made his job a heck of a lot tougher as far as just the travel, the planning that it takes. So, it's been hard on Mario. You could probably tell with his hairline as well.
Nate?
Travis, a little off topic. Have you had a chance to watch Edmund Sumner the last couple games at all?
I have not. I've had a chance to watch some highlights and stuff. Seems like he's doing good things, and I think I know the Pacers, or the organization, they love him, and just about the person he is. Obviously, the upside and the player that he is, and I couldn't be happier for Ed. Ed was awesome here to coach. Great dude, great player, great teammate, the whole 9 yards. So, not surprised by his success that he's having in the NBA.
Next question, Andy Mack.
Travis, will your Jersey guys, Fremantle and Wiltshire, be allowed to have family there and make it like a homecoming?
Andy, I don't think so. I don't know if they're allowing any fans in the building. We're not playing at the Prudential Center where we normally play. We're playing on their on-campus thing. I don't know if it's called Walsh Arena or something like that. And we're not allowed. I don't believe in per Big East protocols that visiting teams aren't supposed to have any tickets this year. And I guess that was decided amongst the Big East schools. So I don't think they'll be in the building. Hopefully they can sneak in that back door though. And if I can prop open a door, I will, Andy. So, because I would love for them to be able to see their children play.
Obviously, the news of Ben Stanley being out has been tough, the year he's had. But Sunday was pretty visible with him being on the bench and being around the guys and kind of pushing that energy. I know your team's preached a lot of closeness to their social media accounts, but having him there almost looking like another coach, how big has that been for you guys on the sidelines?
Ben brings a ton of energy. He does it every day at practice. Even when he was healthy to play, that's what he did, and it's what he's doing now. He's out at practice every day. You can hear his voice. And you can feel his energy. And our guys, he's a great teammate. And, our guys were there for him when he went down with his injury. And just like he's there for them right now. That was his first question. Tim was like, hey, am I going to be able to travel? And am I going to be able to, still come to practice every day, the whole deal, come to games? I was like, yeah, of course, man. So I love what Ben adds a lot of value to our team with his energy and leadership.
Adam?
Travis, we saw you give as you said, you would C.J. Wilcher some playing time against Providence, and from where I was sitting, it looked like he made the most of it. He gave you a little bit of a spark there, hit knockdown back-to-back threes. What were your observations from him and his kind of maybe his first bit of expanded playing time?
Yeah, I think CJ's coming on. I told him, I met with him, showed film to him the day after Providence, and I just said, hey, man, like, getting better. And it starts in practice. Listen, like he has been practicing really well for the last week and a half, really well, taking it up a notch. And I expect him to continue that, and he has. I think he can grow his role on this team, his skill set. I mean, he can score the ball off the dribble, off the catch. He knows how to play. Right? He makes basketball plays. He's a basketball player, and he rebounds the ball. He fights. And I think, he's got to continue to learn, some little things. There are some mistakes that he made, obviously, in the game. But you know what? You learn from it and you move on. You get better because of it. But I thought he gave us a huge jolt there in that first half against Providence. And I see him continue to grow his role on this team.